Hey, welcome back, Sick Fam. This channel's for all my chronic illness baddies who are interested in learning more about all the tips and tricks that I've picked up in the last 15 years of living with chronic illness. Some of you might already know me from Fibro Girl on Instagram. If not, welcome. Thank you so much for supporting this channel and helping spread awareness. Today we're talking physical therapy exercises for beginners, so grab your heating pad and get comfy.
This is not intended as medical advice. Please consult your physician for what's right for you.
I've been to physical therapy 4 times now. The first session, it's all about figuring out where you're at and where you want to get to. We talked about what hurt, talked about my medical history, my lifestyle, just basically home life level of activity. Asked, what household things or personal care things I'm struggling with, like showering, doing the dishes, doing the laundry. So the first part was the posture and gait analysis. They had me walk back and forth across the room for 2 minutes, looked at how I was walking. They had me stand for 2 minutes and assessed my posture, my back. Then we got into balance testing, and for that, at first they had me stand 10 seconds on each foot, and then they had me close my eyes and stand 10 seconds on each foot. And that's where it got a lot harder. Definitely had to work on my balance, so that was something for me in particular that was an issue. If you're gonna try this at home, make sure you use like a countertop or something so that you're not completely doing this unassisted. The last 2 things that we did on the assessment session was we did the range of motion and muscle strength training. After that, we developed the goals and treatment plan. For the range of motion and muscle strength training, what they did was they measured my joint angles and how far they would go, like my knees, how much I could bend them in certain ways, if I could straighten them all the way, same thing with my elbows, my shoulders, etc. It was at this time that they also went through and checked for inflammation in different joints, comparing the size of my knees, seeing if one side was more swollen than the other. All right, now, generally important things. You know your body. Please don't do this on a bad day when you're already flaring super bad. This is not about pushing yourself. I'm gonna say that several times. If you take one thing away from this, let that be it. Please do not push yourself too hard doing these. The first thing that you want to do is to warm up your body really slowly. We're talking like 5 minutes of really slow walking, or if you're really just starting out, like where I was, say, a year ago when I had been in bed for basically 6 months at that point. That is just starting out. Your muscles have atrophied. So when we're building strength like this, which is what I needed to do, I needed to work on strength and balance. If you're anything like me, the way I had to start was laying on my yoga mat on my back at first and just moving my legs in the air before I could even build up the strength to be walking for 5 minutes. So start where you're at. Start lower than where you're at. You really don't want to be pushing yourself at first with this until like your 3rd or 4th time. So after warming up your body through either walking or laying on your back and doing like, some little bicycling in the air, you're going to stretch a little, but not too much. We are not trying to hold poses. These are not yoga poses. Just stretch a little bit, just like get stuff moving. We're going to start with much less than it actually pushes you. At first, it's going to feel kind of silly, but we're going to be talking like doing 2 or 3 reps of something at first, not even 5. You may have to like find an alternate way of doing an exercise if you can't handle something. I couldn't handle the stationary bike at first, and so we had to find an alternate activity that could still work those muscles. If you think you can do 5, start out with 2 or 3 and let's move on from there. And after you've done 2 or 3 and left it at that the first few times, then we can really start to build muscle and progress after that. But really these first few times, this is just about getting moving. It's not about pushing yourself to the point of pain. Please don't do that. Now that being said, after the 4th or 5th time that you've done this, you might start trying to up it a little bit, and eventually as this goes on, you will be a little sore. At least this is for me personally. Again, I can only speak from my own experience. I can't explain it, but it's a different kind of soreness than fibromyalgia or arthritis. It's more of a muscle ache than like the joint pain. As long as I'm doing these exercises correctly, then I don't experience the same joint pain. If you are experiencing joint pain during one of these exercises, please stop and slowly, carefully back out of the position. I do find that it's just really brief muscle soreness. As long as I don't do enough to where it flares my conditions, then I can just handle the post kind of workout effects. Don't overdo it to where you can't do it for 3 days. Trying to do this on my own before I started with the physical therapist, my biggest problem was overdoing it, and then I wouldn't try again for months. I would be in so much pain from what I'd done. You really can't go to the gym and compare yourself to all these able-bodied people. They are at a different level, and you need to only be comparing yourself to you. Not me either, okay? This is my treatment plan. It's not going to be the same for anybody else. All of our bodies are different. And I love you, and I don't want you to get hurt. Keep in mind, these are the first exercises that they had me begin with for my body. Everyone's bodies are different. Now, for those of you that didn't skip ahead through all that, let's get into it.
First off, I started doing curls with a 2-pound weight. You could start with 1 pound or more. It's whatever works for you. Then I started doing weighted punches, 2 minutes again. Next, I moved on to 2 minutes of ceiling punches. I think the first time I did these, I actually had to go back down to 1 pound only. Next, they had me practice sit to stand with no support. I struggled with this one the most. I've actually sped it up here for time. Try to do this once a day, 10 times. Next, they had me walk heel to toe for 2 minutes back and forth, and then toe to heel for another 2 minutes. With this one, you may want to stand next to a counter or a chair if you have balance issues. Next, they had me stand with my hands on the back of a chair for balance and practice going up on my toes and then also back on my heels. I did this for 2 minutes each. Next up was leg bridges. I did 2 sets of 10 for 20 total. Next was knee to chest raises. They had me do 2 sets of 10. After that, straight leg raises to the ceiling, 2 sets of 10. This exercise is called the sideline clamshell. You want to try to keep your feet together like I'm doing here at first. I used the lightest weight band possible. I did 2 sets of 10 on each side. Then we're going to work those side muscles some more and go side to side. At first, I started without a band and then worked my way up to being able to use a band. We do 2 sets of 10. At first, my balance was so bad I could only do it between the beams, and look at me now. Then we have double leg heel raises. If you need support or have bad balance, hang on to the back of a chair or a countertop. We did 2 sets of 10. I hope this stuff helps you and you see improvement in your quality of life and pain levels. Bye.